Hi everyone, it's Shar and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Now, obviously, My Wedding Stories is the most recent sim pack that we've gotten. It released today, the day that I am recording this, and let me tell you, it took like 4 hours to record this. So I set out to answer 4 questions by playing through the My Wedding Stories. First is Tartosa a sat? Because once I saw Simmers playing it, I was deeply concerned that even though the world is beautiful, you can see that there are red little stop signs pretty much anywhere that you click. You can't view it, you can't interact with it, you can't go anywhere, your sim can't go there, even places you think that you should be able to walk. And that was concerning to me because it's like, I don't want my sim to just walk around Tartosa and literally not be able to interact with anything. Even the chairs are debug areas that you should be able to walk to, you cannot. But I thought, what's the one thing that your sim can definitely interact with? And that, of course, is drawing in the sand. But you can't find collectibles in the sand, by the way. You should be able to, but you cannot. So here I am, cautiously optimistic, taking pictures when my sims find the wedding venue of their dreams. I removed all mods through this playthrough, by the way. So the next question I asked was, well, what is actually functional? So we have our sims here kind of interacting, being romantic and cute, but they only have a few interactions. I think there's like enthused about weddings, express doubts, joke about their wedding, things like that. Like very simple, ask about wedding day, congratulate on wedding, and that's pretty much it. You will get tired of it really quickly. But thankfully, the wedding bouquets do actually work, and they're actually absolutely beautiful, and I love them. So I'm happy for that. And I'm here asking my Sims friends to be part of their wedding, and this little girl ends up being our flower pal. And then of course we have Camille from the trailer, and I actually had the male sim Adrian ask Camille to be their officiant, even though they barely know each other. And the whole time we're talking to Camille, apparently Camille and Dominique are supposed to have like special interactions and things they can tell you, kind of like if you're in Henford on Bagley and you do a Henford heart to heart, the Sims will tell you about Henford on Bagley. There is no such thing with Camille and Dominique. We asked Dominique off camera when we go to a party, but there is no such thing. The only thing you can ask Camille about is ask about wedding day, and she'll tell you about her wedding day. But we do end up getting Camille to be our officiant, which I thought was pretty iconic, and it was fun to interact with these sims and ask them to be part of our wedding, although we will find out later on in this video that it's kind of pointless. So next I move on to wedding cakes, and as you can see, there actually is a function to purchase wedding cakes, but what I have my sims do is try wedding cakes, because of course we know in the trailer that your sim can try a wedding cake, and it's kind of like a cake testing, and apparently in the trailer the sims react, they're like, oh, I like this flavor, I don't like this flavor. Surprise, y'all. No such thing for your sims. Your sims can purchase it, but they essentially eat the food like it's food. They have no interactions. They have no special moodlets. The only moodlet that they get is pretty tasty. So that was pretty disappointing. It's like, what's the point of going to do a wedding cake testing if it makes absolutely no difference for your sim? But either way, I end up happy that we can in fact purchase a wedding cake. Although the camera here is kind of weird. You can see that it kept snapping to like the max height of the building. So I end up going with a beautiful pink wedding cake for our very over-the-top sims. Our sim loves pink and white, so that's the cake I ended up going with. But here are some wedding cake fiascos, because was it as simple as just buying a wedding cake? No. Here is my sim at home that same day, and her wedding cake has spoiled by the time she gets home. So this is just one version of it. So I think, oh, that's my fault. I sent her out that night. So I thought, oh, it just expired like that day. I'll have her buy a new one. Surprise, shorty. I bought like 4 wedding cakes, and each one had a problem. Here is us buying yet another wedding cake, when I am still cautiously optimistic that it was just my fault that my sim's wedding cake expired in the one day she had bought it. I think it had been less than like 24 hours. It was not a long time at all. So I purchased another wedding cake just to see if that's going to work. But would you look at that? We are home, and I removed the cake topper thinking like, oh, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why they can't select it as a wedding cake. Nope, still couldn't select it. So I purchased yet another wedding cake. This time I said, let's go with the white floral one because that's going to be exactly for their wedding theme. And would you look at that? We still cannot select the wedding cake to be our wedding cake for our wedding. I said wedding quite a lot there, so that didn't work. But let's go to wedding attire. So of course we know that you get to here by clicking the bridal shop in the Sims world. And surprisingly, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought I would want to go into the Sims shop, but I had just as much fun going in, clicking the window, and then going in and having her try on a bunch of dresses and picking out her accessories and her nails and her gown. Obviously, I go with a custom content gown because I am still me. But when I was clicking through the Maxis Match ones, there was nothing wrong with them. They were completely fine. The Maxis one, not the Maxis Match one. So if you want to play with the in-game wedding dresses, they are just fine. But of course, I just use CC. So here is my beautiful Sim for her wedding. And then I edit the outfit for her fiance. I don't use any of the in-game wedding stuff except for his shoes. I just end up going with this pink and white suit because, of course, it fits their theme. And then I give him the little boutonniere because why not use it? It's part of the game, although I don't particularly like that it looks like it's floating on his suit, but we get it. So the next question I set out to ask is, can your Sim attend a wedding? Because it's one thing for you to be playing with a household and have to go for their wedding, but what if your best friend is getting married? What if your sister is getting married? If they plan a wedding event and invite you, can you actually go to this wedding? The answer is yes. They will in fact tell you that a wedding event is happening, but as you can see, my Sim here is talking to the bride. Is the bride wearing the wedding dress I picked for her? No. Is her fiance wearing the wedding dress that I picked for her? No. Are any of the Sims even acting like this is their wedding? No. The game, in fact, seems to think that this is my wedding ceremony. It is not. It is my friend's wedding ceremony. I tried so hard to make this work. I even tried to micromanage it for the Sim, my best friend, who is getting married, and that quite simply did not work. Here I am on Adrian because Adrian was actually the set officiant for this wedding. There is no option for Adrian to officiate his best friend's wedding. I'm trying to get these Sims to get married. There's no option for me to tell the Sim that, hey, this is your wedding day. You need to get married. Put on the wedding dress that I set for you. This was especially disappointing because our two Sims here, Gabby and her fiance, Jamie, actually had planned their wedding. I had planned their outfits, the venue, the location, the wedding cake, the wedding attire, and actually told them that everyone at the wedding should be in polished dress. And you can see, regardless of how much effort I'm putting in to make this work, the Sims are completely ignoring me and I cannot make a wedding happen for the life of me. With that said, I was still being a little bit optimistic here because I thought, okay, maybe it's just the fact that it's not my wedding, it is their wedding, so they don't think that it is it's not something I should be able to interact with or play with, which is extremely disappointed because I play legacy style, which is a huge reason why I was so excited for this wedding, but we can at least give a speech, so let's hear her speech. Unfortunately, Gabby is a NPC, and though she's planned her wedding and put so much effort into marrying her gorgeous fiancé, she is ultimately still a Sim, limited by the game's rules. And though we are gathered here today for a wedding, it will not happen because Gabby does not recognize that today is her wedding day, although we recognize that it is a wedding ceremony. And after that extremely disappointing wedding that did not work, I decided to go for the drama. So my Sim sister, her, is engaged, and in the background you can see her fiance being really shitty and actually cheating on her right in front of her face. She gets really angry, so I try to ask her like, hey, what's going on? And she says nothing, I still like him. So here we are back at the wedding, and I think, you know what? Can I actually force these two to break up? Because I don't think my sister should be marrying her two-timing ex. And as you can see, I was able to force them to break up, but not through the My Wedding Stories pack. There's no special interactions to create drama or do that. I simply did that with the trash another Sim option and the convince to break up, which was always a feature in the game. And again, that was disappointing. I wanted there to be an interaction. Since we can express doubt, why not be be able to say, don't marry this person or object to wedding. So here we come to my wedding, because at this point I think, screw this game. This isn't even working. I'm just going to have the wedding and see, does it work for me? So I'm actually taking you through pretty slowly through me setting up the wedding so you can see that I do actually arrange everything. I pick every detail. I tell the guests to come in their polished gear, wear pink, and we have the bride and groom dressed in their wedding attire. You saw it. You saw me do it. So we're going to head to the wedding venue and watch exactly what happens. Why is everyone in their everyday gear? Why is my bride and groom not wearing their wedding attire that I specifically set for them? Why do I have to go through and use a mod to change every single Sim's outfit so they can dress like it's my wedding? And even then, they wouldn't. So we come to the wedding ceremony, and I had my Sims gather at the aisle, and guess what? They didn't move, regardless of how many times I told them to sit down. They completely blocked the aisle, making it impossible for me to do anything, including have my bride walk down the aisle and have her send down her Sim of Honor, the ring bearer, and the flower pal. But I tried to send down them multiple times. You can see how many times I'm clicking these interactions. It's just not working. But hey, our flower pal kind of does it, and I miss it because she walks in from the side and not straight down the aisle. So at this point, I think, screw this. This is so freaking difficult. It's so annoying. This video is only 13 minutes, but I played for 2 hours, and I only played like 3 or 4 sim days. The only reason it was 2 hours is because it was so long. So here we are exchanging vows, and would you look at that? Some Sims are sitting down while some Sims are doing push-ups in my wedding dress. So that was funny, but not funny, because if you paid for this pack, that would be really annoying. And here's the slow down animation for the spousal kiss, just so you can see how bad this is. Like, they're not even kind of touching lips. They're not kissing. But at least I have my Sims blow bubbles, and they do, which makes beautiful weddings. And the only interaction we get, we don't even get to say like "thank for coming." We get to like gaze lovingly. So I try to gather everyone to come and cut the cake, and you can see my Sim is just waiting and waiting and waiting. His own bride doesn't even recognize that it's time to gather for the cake, and no one ever comes gather it. So I tried to cut the cake. And would you look at that? In the time that it took me to get anyone to even kind of do anything, the cake had spoiled. They were completely unable to cut the cake, kept saying they couldn't reach it. So me being a vengeful Sims master made them eat the spoiled cake anyway. Our groom almost wet his pants, and no one used the tables at all. They're sitting at the wedding ceremony area. They're sitting in random places, even though there are tables all around them. So now we do the final guest speech, because that's all we have. So let's listen to her sister. See here, The Sims is still The Sims. And though we were promised a patch update that would make my wedding stories functional, it's not functional. And I'm very disappointed, as we all are. We truly were hoping for a beautiful wedding, but all we did was block the bride from walking down the aisle, ignored all interaction requests, and now the groom has wet his pants and the bride is asleep. And we took so long glitching that we actually made the wedding cake spoil. And for that, I'm truly sorry. There's so much I could tell you about this pack, but the base of it is it doesn't work. A lot of these things are checked off, like dancing was checked off. I don't think that should have been checked off. I just clicked dance, but no Sims actually danced, yet it registered as something complete. It was a really frustrating thing to play with, and ultimately, I will tell you that your base game wedding is probably better than what's in this pack. While Tartosa is a beautiful world, there are very minimal things that your Sim can interact with beyond buying flowers, eating food, or getting wedding cake. I am extremely disappointed. I thought that I had lowered my standards because I was not expecting them to fix the game at all. I thought they would fix most of it, but there would still be some broken functions. But as it turns out, they fixed some of it, but most of it is still broken and completely unfunctional. So here my Sims are still sitting at their ceremony. And another thing that really annoyed me is that my Sims constantly had the option to exchange vows, even though they were already married. So thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I appreciate you being here, and I'm going to see you in my next one.